Afternoon, everyone. So I know it's been a while since I've made a video, but in the last couple of weeks I moved to a new house, or to my first house. So I've been doing a lot of that stuff. But I have been playing, obviously. I was in New Year's Revolution. We're not in first. Poland's going to win. I think we're going to come in second. I did pretty well. We didn't actually play this game. We just decided on 10-10 because I was moving, and then we just couldn't work it out, and they were going to cap us at that point. So, with a 10 at least. So I don't know how it would have went. It would have been an interesting game for sure, but shit happens. Anyway, I've been playing this list a lot. You can find it here. You can find it in the New Year's Revolution. I've talked about it in other videos. I've been playing it in the Fading Flame League as well. And so I think I'm committed to at least 3 more games with it. And we'll do a little review about what I think. You know, I'm always making videos on what I think about orcs and, you know, what things I like, what I don't like, what things I've tried, how have I liked it. So this is no different. And I will talk on some of the things I talked about in my last video and whether it actually happened or whether it never did. So let's go through the list itself. So we switched to an Iron Orc Lord from a Frenzy guy. I like that change overall. I like that I didn't have to take Frenzy checks. I like he was a little tougher to kill. The build itself is pretty solid. 1 up, 4 up. The Strength 5 with lethal and real wounds. He killed a Herald. That was pretty good. The Spider Hero is always solid. I don't think I had too many matchups where he was a huge liability. As in, I don't remember if I played any cannons. Actually, let's look at Turning Keeper. He had 4 bolt throwers, Pyro Magic, or Alchemy Magic. Didn't play, but would have been an issue. Mark for Doom, yeah. I mean, he wasn't an issue for this guy. He could have took Bolt, but he didn't. So that's gonna, we'll just start there. One thing I find about the Spider Hero is some matchups, A+. Great for his points. Does a lot of work. He's aggressive. He can get war machines. He can get behind lines. He's good at holding up units. Blah blah blah. Whatever you want to say. The problem I have with him is he brings a problem to the list that the rest of the army doesn't have, right? So if you look at this army, what is bolt throwers, like skewers and stuff good against? It's really only good against him. It sucks versus idols. Even repeater bolt throwers, even the the high elf ones, he is a very clear target for them. Like if he's out in the open, like he's a you hit him, it's a 2+ a wound, and he can die to D3 wounds. Same with like Silver Spike. Like it's very obvious he is the biggest target for that spell. Lash is not that good versus him, but still Mark for Doom, pretty good against idols. But again, you're getting 6 wounds of idols for the same points as 3 wounds of him when it comes to big spells like that. Toxic Breath is really good against him. Some of the Touch of the Reaper is good if he's not near the general. He's just a very obvious target, and there are a lot of things in the game that kind of like mess with him. And being toughness 4 and being only 3 wounds, and being in an army where it's just like he's the obvious one to hit with it. He's just obvious. You just hit him with it because he's the best Mark for Doom target. I mean, like I said, the idols are fine, but there's 6 wounds versus 3, and that's probably my biggest problem with him. Is he's just always like, God damn it, I have to keep him alive, and he works well with the Vanguard, 100%. I don't know though. I think I might try it. I've played with him in almost every list I've played, and I haven't 100% given up on him yet. I haven't given up on him. I think that's unfair to say. But I want to make like a map of all the armies out there and say to myself, does this guy give me what I need? because he can't hide in units from these bolt throwers. There's nowhere for him to hide other than behind idols, and if he's behind an idol, it just seems shitty. He can't even hide behind the trolls because he's only he's tall and they're not tall. That has been an issue I've had with him, where it's just like, okay, well, I do so much to keep him like alive for 355. So that's something I will be thinking about in the future. I may replace him with somebody else. Or just try something else in his place for 355. I think the Warlord, I'm going to have a similar story. You know, we're going to start off with maybe things I'm not a huge fan of. The Warlord in and of itself is a solid piece for 505. He's not, you know, super spiky damage like the Omen guy is, but and I like the Omen guy a lot. But I don't know, he's also my general. That's the other thing. Here's the thing. He goes in this unit. And if you guys have ever come into a UB game and watched my game, you know, a typical deployment of mine is, you know, this in the center somewhere, this, you know, this, and these guys all within his range. And it's not that you can't go that wide. You can go kind of wide, but you can't really go, like, too wide with it. And sometimes, you know, you'll see things where it's just barely within range, like he's here, you know, this unit's over here. And I'm always measuring, you know, ranges of this bubble of 12 inches from him. But what that means is he can't always do what he needs to do. And that's why we took away the Frenzy guy, because I didn't want to be charging out at things. But also, like, he kind of hampers the unit itself in that way, because I'm paying 230 points essentially for a bunker of boar boys who do not go off and kill things because he's in it. They're not the greatest unit with him. Like, it's not like he's this big bus and they can go charge a bunch of things. So I think there is some lacking in that department. Like, it feels like it's scoring, which is always useful. I'll give you that. But it's also like it has to be centered, so all my scoring is near each other. So the way I'm going is that I just don't really love, like, the fact that he's on a boar, he has to use that unit, and it's like this chain of events. And this is the thing about orcs is it's not like plug and play like we've said with warriors. It really does. You start making a list and you start dropping stuff, and you're like, oh shit, you know, if I want to go to, I'll give you an example. If I want to go to an orc shaman general with crown, well, if you look at the list right now, I can't hide him anywhere reasonable. So I have to take an orc bunker. Which, well, if I'm going to take the orc bunker, I don't need the goblin bunker of skirmishers, who's been great. I love it. Don't get me wrong. Moving left to right stuff has been very powerful, but you can get away without it, to be fair. I think an orc bunker is just fine if the army's built around it. Because he has to stay in the middle anyway. That bunker has a little bit more freedom because it's not the general. It's just the 18-inch BSB. So I think if you put both together, you can get away with it. And I think it's a different list, of course. So I think the only thing that really disappointed me this event was the Iron Orcs. And I know I hyped them up just to bring them... I brought them down to hype them up to bring them down again. And it's just... they're being moving forward, and Fearless has its... Fearless just blows sometimes. When your unit, like, gets killed by a lot of things. I know, 15 Iron Orcs can take a lot of things and do some damage and stuff, but some things just fucking kill it. It just kills them, and there's like 7 left, and they have 1 attack each, and then they die. And you're like, oh, that was cool. I couldn't flee. I couldn't get away. Like, they just walked up and got near me, and I died. And not everything can do that. Maybe I just happened to play some games. Well, I mean, it is what it is. Like, there's just, if you have a big unit of Iron Orcs, like 20, with a character, and like you're stubborn, I think and I never put my character in it because he can't go out on by his, like, heaven forbid he's your goddamn general. If somebody cannon snipes him out, bolt throws him out, yes, you have a toughness 5 and a 4 regen. It's just not worth the risk of him getting killed because he is one of the best targets if the spider is not available by sitting in those black orcs. So I think unless you go a big enough black orc unit to say, all right, you know, I'm gonna fuck up some shit, I I don't really love the Black Orcs for whatever. And then if you really go down to it and say, all right, look at the scenarios. They don't help. They don't help in flags. That's one. They're not that helpful in breakthrough because they're slow as fuck. They're not that good in. They're good in secure. They're good in spoils. They're not end all be all. You can win both those scenarios without the Black Orcs. And hold the center, they're fine. They're no better than like having your goblin units with fanatics sitting in the middle and just holding it. Like, you don't need a million units to hold the center. Like, you just need to have a better center. Like, if your center is like trolls and idols and you can push the enemy out of it, then you can hold it with 2 goblin units with fanatics. So I don't think that's they're not big enough to fuck with other units that are big enough to, you know what I mean? Like, they don't exactly like wreck anything that the trolls don't wreck. You know what I mean? Like, and the trolls can clear the path for you. So I kind of want to try. I keep making lists, and I keep trying to ram in that 4th scoring unit. And I did run 3 for a while. And maybe the answer is, drop a goblin unit for an orc unit, and that could be if that's the 3rd scoring. Now, if I drop a goblin unit, I run out of scorings. I don't know. Maybe the answer is having. I don't know if 2 fanatics and a bunker is enough scoring in this game. Like, because, yeah, that's what I don't know about. I have to test it. That being said, I wasn't a fan of the Black Orcs. That was probably the biggest thing. I was like, The Witchcraft guy I really liked. One, because I blew up my mage turn 1 or 2 one of the games. And he was the guy casting spells after that. What game did I do that? Was it this tournament? Oh, yeah, it was the second game. I blew up my mage 2nd spell. On, like, a 666 into 3 wounds to myself, which is, it's like a 1%er, or it was 0.4% to die from it. That being said, the other guy was pretty good. He's a chaff piece that hides in a unit. He has a very good spell in Raven's Wing, which kind of gives you a nice early spell to cast. If somebody goes, like, if you deploy first and they deploy on one side of the board and you're like kind of little spread, you can drop a comet. They'll usually stop the comet, and you can Raven's Wing your other model up. The only thing I didn't like is because I'm only an apprentice, or I'm not a master, it feels kind of bad because like a 9 on 3 dice is risky to me. I don't like rolling a 9 on 3 dice without +1. And so, like, if 3 dice out of 7 is fine, but it's only 8 inches, it just didn't feel amazing. I don't want to waste 4 dice on it either. So he was a good chaff piece. I think if you have the hero points, and because he can Vanguard too, so if you want to run up and just chaff, and he was good because I have the boars and you can't single them out. So he's going to fall by the wayside a little bit if I drop the boars because I don't have anywhere to put him to be safe, and he's only a 2-wound model, so he could easily die like from the same bullshit out there. But I think he is a good chaff piece if you need an extra spell or not. So I like that addition. I like the Spider Riders a lot more than the Wolves, personally. I don't need thrown weapons. I don't need shields. You don't need any of that, because almost all the time they're being sacked like turn 1 or 2. And if they aren't being sacked, they're just... The thrown weapons are not making it... I've seen too many people use chaff with thrown weapons and stuff to like actually try to do things instead of just chaffing, and I'm just like... They're chaff. I get it. It's not the worst thing if they have 8 points, throw thrown weapons on them. I'm not going to say it's awful. If I have 8 points, I'll put it on because it is 16 shots. That could do a couple wounds to other fast cav. Thrown weapons are fine because they're 1 point a model. But it's not like you shouldn't use them. Like, I see too many people run around people with fast cav and try to shoot, and I'm just like, you need to get in front of me. Like, I've seen people just not put things in front of me and try to shoot me. I'm just like, I wish, if you would have blocked me, it would have been way worse for me. Way worse. So, yeah. I guess in this list, I technically could hide in the spiders, but that seems like risky as fuck too. I don't know if I'd take him again. I mean, I would take him if I had the points and I had the units, but he's not a must-take for me. I I can't say enough about two idols. I mean, I just played against an idol today in another league, and they're just so obnoxious to kill. They're 370 points. You really just don't give a. The rural ones is great. The toughness 8 is amazing. They're not worth that many points. If they die, they die. Like they have crush attack. Like they're just the minimize thing can be very obnoxious if used right. It's just it's such a good piece for 370. It's hard to beat that in this army, to be honest with you. Fanatics, I like Fanatics a lot. I do think they scare people more than they do damage for sure. And I had some games where they did a lot of damage, but they scare people more than anything. So I could see myself dropping to one unit of them potentially and going like an orc unit for like a stronger scoring unit. Potentially. I am not set on that idea. I do like having two units. It is a big investment. It's 800 points. They don't fight very well. Nets are pretty good. But I think I'd always at least take one unit just to be annoying, because I think there's something about the fear of vanguarding goblins that really gets people to be completely honest. And they're core, so I mean, why not? Trolls. I like trolls a lot. I wish I had more, and I wish they were distracting. I don't regret taking the binding scroll over distracting, but I think like 8 with distracting are like such a kick in the nuts for like 505 or something. It's something godly uncheap. Like they're just so hard. I mean, some armies just have such trouble getting rid of 8 trolls. And if you don't have if your mage doesn't have to be there, I mean, if you have like shamanism potentially in your list and you can give them +1 strength or toughness, both are really good. Distracting trolls. Distracting is really good. I mean, for 30 points, it's really good. I mean, -1 to hit them. So many things I hit them on like 3s or 4s are just like, God, I hit on 5s now. It's just the math, like regen and all that, just adds up. So I want more trolls. And so the problem I'm having right is what I've told you guys. I've told you I could drop, like if I was going to run this exact list again, and then I have to make minimum changes but effective changes, I would probably drop this unit. I would see if I could survive with 3 scoring. Though again, it's going to have the same issue. You know, we talk about, you know, this is basically a bunker. This is a bunker. So what if I just got rid of this? I mean, here's where you go down the rabbit hole, right? Oh, I get rid of this. I get rid of this. And then you add in 20 orcs, for example. Right? Let's just get a unit of 20 orcs. 20 orcs with discipline. Right? 20 orcs with discipline. I think this, and this without any upgrades. And I think the champs are gone. Yeah, the champs can't go. So if this was your core, I think it's exactly min core. You get 2 fanatic units, you get a bunker with discipline, and you get 8 spiders without any upgrades. But you still get your relentless. And champions are good, but whatever. They're not that important for this army. For these guys. You don't have as many characters that need them to help you out. Right? So this is min core. You get 3 scoring, a chaff piece, and basically the same thing I had before. Right? And so then you say, okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this. I really like this BSB. I like his 18 inches is, I think you have to have it in this particular list. I think it's just, the way the army works, you really need the 18-inch BSB for this guy and this guy. Well, that's where I'm starting to get a little bit. Leadership 9 is much bigger than BSB for a lot of this army, right? Because there's Leadership 5 base for the goblins, if you have goblins. If you have goblins, the BSB is more important. Or the general is going to be more important because these things are Leadership 5, so even with the BSB, and these are Leadership 4, so even with the BSB, you're kind of sitting in Shitville um, without the general. So there's something to be said, and I don't know if I 100% agree with myself here. There's something to be said that, well, if this is going to be like your setup, right, something like this, then there's a good chance if you're in general, assuming there's an orc shaman in here, you're going to be within your BSB of your goblin. So do you need 18 inches if you're going to already be within 12? Well, you need 18 inches for this guy and this guy, but I don't know. I can see a world where one thing that happened before was my general was in the boars and he was always up farther. Right? So my general was like, he always was deployed on the front line and then my BSB was in the back. So my BSB could reach where my general was because he was usually about 5 inches behind my general. But if my general's in this unit, then I have to play differently. And it's 90 points. Let's not lie. That's not a cheap item. Now it lets you Vanguard, but this kind of goes down that hole of, well, do you really need the Vanguard if you don't take the Spider Hero? I mean, I don't routinely, like, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Like, people really hate the threat of Vanguarding fucking Fanatics in your face. I don't do it that often. I did it one game. I don't tend to do it. And maybe it's because people deploy against it better, but sometimes the threat of having Fanatics sit there is just as good as having the actual Fanatics. Does that make sense? The threat that like they could come out at some point might just be better than running up there and throwing them out. Because, you know what I mean? And so Relentless is kind of the same thing where I don't know if I need 2 Relentless banners. That units are 395 points with champs. If you remove the champs, remove Relentless, remove the banners, and remove nets, how many points is the unit? It starts to drop a lot. I mean, nets are 30, so that's pretty cheap. 30, you're talking 80 points, 90, you're 305. I mean, you save 180 points in core. Now you lose some options because you lose Relentless and you lose nets, which are both pretty good in this list. But your units become a little more expendable. That could be a chaff piece. That could be a scoring piece if you took something else. So I definitely think that is a world there too, where you just take 2 Fanatics, a unit like that with 2 Fanatics for 305, and just it has the threat you need without all the fuss potentially. So now we have a list here. And so we're talking min core. Do I have? I don't have new recruit up. So this is a list I just had open. This is the min core I was talking about. Let's just say you took 8 bridge trolls. I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. I mean, if you don't take this, right? If you say, okay, I don't need... Oh, I need the battle standard. Let's, for shit's say, you took... Let's just say you took 2 Aether icons just to stay alive. Why can't you take 2? What does he have? Oh, you have to drop this. Right? Let's just say you wanted some MR2, just in case. He's 145. I mean, you're 410. Oh, you still have the Goblin Hero. Let's just say, well, I like the Goblin Hero. But maybe you start, he's just a pain in the ass to, use. I mean, you could go more magic if you wanted. You could go, a Goblin Witch Doctor with... I mean, you could go, instead of this guy... He could just be an adept as your general? No. What? Why can't I go down? Oh, because I have too many items. You could do that. He could be your general. He could be shamanism, or he could be... Fuck, for all you care, he could be pyro. or whatever. That's your general, and you could go back and have the Witch Doctor that I used to run, where you just have a Master of Thom, right? And if you wanted a Binding Scroll, you don't need Heirloom then. You just take Binding Scroll, maybe Scepter. You could take this, for example. Excuse me. This guy's not used anymore. This could be your hero setup. I like this guy. All right. Oh, wow. You are really not many points in this list. Where's all my army? Why am I so cheap in this army? What is like... So I have Magic. I have a BSB. It cut out a lot of like the random crap. Not random. I don't like saying random. Cut out a lot of stuff in this list. Okay, let's bring out the big boy. Where is my king? All right. So now we're looking at this army. This, and then he'd be here. All right. Not as mobile as my other army. Well, my other army, I think, it's a sham about how mobile it was. But so you're saying we have this list. We have Fanatics, we have Idols, we have a big-ass spider, we have our leadership and all our things in the back. I mean, if you lose that unit, you're dead. To be fair, like, a lot of times if I lost that kind of stuff, I was losing anyway. So I'm not going to sit here and say that it mattered that much. Thom, Shamanism. I'd be interested in what, like, I think for the setup, it's not that different to have... I mean, how many points is a Master? I mean, you could take double Master. That's something that people have been doing. Do I like it? I don't know. That's an interesting setup, too. Right? This is not a horrible setup. How annoying is this list? What kind of shooting can we get if we wanted to take, like, catapults? Two spiders, 8 trolls. Is this any good? How does this compare to my old list? This fight's so like if you compare this to my old list, right? This is the same. 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 You replace. So now this guy becomes, if you want to say fighting-wise, my trolls are better than they were before. And now you're upgrading or changing your general into this spider, who the spider fights better than this guy does, like against almost everything in the game. He would like the 18-inch BSB. I'll say that. I think he would be one of those things where you would like to have the BSB because he is... stubborn, so being stubborn 8 rollable is a lot better than being stubborn 8 not rollable, and 12 inches from this guy is not that far. But is it worth 90 points to have an 18-inch BSB in this list when most of your army doesn't need it? Like, you can play without it. Like, he doesn't lose that many fights, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, you can still put him on the flank. He still beats a lot of things, and he's fearless, so you don't have to worry as much. Like, it's not like if this BSB is here and this guy's over here that I'm going to have the 18 inches. The 18 inches is still, like, there's still, like, a bubble, like this, right? Where he's in it. I guess it's not, I mean, something to try, right? So now you're looking at this army where, like, this fights, I mean, this army's, like, hard to fuck with. It's like, I got Fanatics, I have 3 giant models, and I have 8 trolls that are just insane to me. Like, trolls are just insane to me. They're so hard to play against. Like, if they have their general and stuff, like, it's just so obnoxious. So I'm sitting at this list. And I have 2 masters. That seems pretty good. That seems like pretty good. I've always wanted to try, like, a little bit more magic in my armies. Yeah, I don't know what else I would put in. You could do another chaff unit. You could do more shooting if you wanted. You could mess things around. If you could say I don't need the bind, you could say I don't need the binding scroll, and I think something like I like Skull Fetish a lot. I think that's a really good item. Yeah, I don't actually mind the goblin units as scoring, because most of your work is going to be done by the other things. They're going to provide ranks if needed, and honestly, nets are really good in them because when you have toughness 8, it doesn't matter. But when you have trolls and when you have like even the toughness 6 spider, just having -1 strength can be big sometimes, where people start wounding on 6s if they're strength 5 or something. It just stops combat res, right? If you have trolls that are now distracting and the enemy's -1 toughness, or -1 strength, that's a big deal. This list probably needs a chaff piece, I would say. Maybe you can get something in the hero section. You can probably play around, and you have you pretty much have exactly enough. You have exactly enough. Like if you max your heroes, this list fits perfectly. I don't know how I feel about the splatterers. They could be both. This could be 3 bolt throwers as well. It's 3 bolt throwers. They could be 4 bolt throwers for these points. I'm not 100% sold on the war machines just yet. I think it's 330 points that could be spent, or 360 that could be spent on. That's the spider hero. And in the spider hero in this list, he doesn't fit because of the goddamn hero points. So you're probably not taking the spider hero in this setup. You'd have to drop the magic, and which is fine, but the magic is pretty good in a lot of matchups. Like having 8 spells, 8 good spells. Like this could be a really nice. Man, that's a pretty damn nice list. Now you can make an idol to BSB in this list. Like, you could drop this guy. Does this work? This works? Let me just see something. I'm not over hero points? I don't know why I thought this was over hero points. This starts getting into a world of, like, if you want to be risky and you want an 18-inch BSB, I actually think the BSB on this guy is pretty good. I think it's risky if they can kill him, and you have to play a little safer with him. But that +1 combat res could be really big for him to break units. This is not a bad thing. I have 300 points left in this. If I drop these. Man, this is like a solid list right now. Man, if I could just fit that hero in. I don't have Vanguard, so it's not as good. The hero can go in the trolls. I like Binding Scroll, though. How much is Skull Fetish? 70? I don't know. You're paying 65 points. I mean, I think it's debatable on the BSB. You get the 18 inches, but that guy becomes... Like, my idols used to be expendable. Right? So, this guy's 125, so you're paying 45... You save 45 points, but your guy becomes not expendable. And I don't know if I like that. I kind of like being expendable with the idols. Yes, you lose the 18 inches, but they play wide sometimes, so I don't know if I would do that. I mean, this guy's pretty safe. I mean, if your unit's dying, you're pretty fucked if you're getting this unit killed. Fit in the Skull Fetish. So now you're looking at 400 points, 415. It could be shooting. Could be another scoring if you really wanted. Could be, chaff. I don't know, man. This might be something I try. I feel like I need to test this. I've never tested the double level 4s. And it's becoming pretty common now in a lot of armies to do, like, double level 4s. But it's just... These are very... I mean, you could even do Scepter Power if you really wanted. Like, if you really wanted to max your heroes and be, like, super obnoxious... You do this, and you're just, this is a dirty Magic phase. I mean, you have Wrath of God, you have Totemic Summons, you have Magic Missiles, you have enough buffs for your whole army. Oh, I like it. How much shooting can I fit in? Death from above. How many catapults? Only 2? I can't even fit another skewer in. This isn't too bad, though. I could fit something up here if I wanted. Or drop MR on him and just say whatever. Take a binding scroll on him. Like, you could drop this and just say, alright, I'm going double binding scroll. Like, that's not bad. That's not horrible. Yeah. I would like another chaff piece for which how aggressive this army is. Though these are kind of chaff depending on the scenario. I don't know how it does its scenarios, but like this army gets out there and says, I'm about to fuck your world. Alright. This video did not go where I thought it would. Most like all my videos go. I'm going to keep working on this. But I just want to give you guys an update that I'm still around, still playing. Still got ideas. If you want to try the other list, it's still good. Clearly it wins games. I've been winning with it for a good bit. But that's what I love about orcs, right? Like, you really have to it just goes ebbs and flows with different things, and you really got to try things. Like, I need to commit to saying, I'm not going to run the spider hero. I'm going to run double mages, potentially, and I'm going to run this or that. I need to just say, this is what I'm going to run, and I'm happy with it. And I need to try it. And I need to try it for more than a game. I need to try it for like 4 or 5 games. Like a tournament, obviously. And then see if it's good or not. See if it's good in the pairings. All right, I'm out for now, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye.